Welcome to your March Q&A. So we have a couple of questions here, and thank you so much for submitting those. Don't forget, if there's anything at all on your mind or on your heart, anything that you're curious about, please feel free, post any questions in the thread for the next Q&A. And so the first topic that's here, I'll just read it out for you. So Sarah's written, there's a question about how to tap into our inner wisdom with spirit guides and how to use our gifts to be a force for healing. I know that we all have gifts and can connect with Great Spirit and have guides, etc., but I don't experience that reality, and I would love to just do that. All right. So there's a few layers to that, and I really love how, it's been identified that we all have gifts. And this is the very, very first and important step in being able to connect with what we're capable of is belief. And, that it always reminds me of that old saying, when people used to say, oh, I'll believe it when I see it, the old kind of the cynicism typical comment. But what actually happens is we get to see it when we believe it. Because if it's not in our belief, then how can we bring something into creation? And so first and foremost, it's believing that it's possible, but not just in the mind believing, but fully knowing with all of the depth of you that you are capable of connecting with higher frequency information. And the reason that everybody is capable of connecting into this layer of information is because we are this frequency as well. While we are in this lower earth realm experience, we are vibrating in a lower frequency to be able to take physical form. And that's molecular science. The slower the frequency, the more density that it holds. And so in physical form, we take a lower frequency. And from this space of lower frequency, we often forget. We forget that we are already that. We are already Great Spirit. We are already our guides. We are already everything, because everything is interconnected in that way when we get to the higher frequency fields. And so to help us to be able to get to the higher frequency fields, there's loads of different things that we can do. But one of the most important is repetition, particularly in this modern world where there is so much programming around expected behavior, all of the things that need to be done, all of the drama, all of the struggle, all of the problems, all of the things we believe we're not going to be able to do. I really feel that, because it's true. It's collective programming. Our collective has been programmed into lack and limitation. And as long as that's there, we continue to be operating in this lower frequency field. And so things that we can do to help raise our frequency so we become a match to attune to higher frequency information is there's lots of different things. Things like energy raising practices. So things like connecting in with the beautiful heart space. Our beautiful heart space being the seat of our soul. As we come into resonance with that harmonic, our frequency raises. And the more we allow ourselves to come back to our hearts, out of the mind is what creates separation. Literally, when I'm in sessions with clients, the guides will show me people outside of themselves. Their head, like the energy here, is in complete disconnect to everything else within them, but also around them a lot of the time as well. So that's literally the energy gets trapped in here. And so when we move into our heart space, we not only disengage with the thing that perpetuates problems, which is our overthinking about things, over analyzing, often making meaning out of things that don't really need to have meaning made out of, or we make meaning out of things based on our perceptions because of past experience. Things like someone making a passing comment about something may have absolutely nothing to do with us at all, but because in the past we've had some similar type of situation where someone may have been addressing us in the same way, we automatically take the perception that this person is also doing the same thing to us. And it's not true. And this happens on so many different layers in so many different ways when we're stuck in judgment and analysis of the thinking mind. And so the heart is the frequency of non-judgment. It is that frequency that allows us to expand and to see the bigger picture. Because it raises our frequency, it expands our awareness, so we have the opportunity to be able to access other information other than those repeating thoughts. And so the first step is recognizing when we're in this lower density reality. How often are we telling ourselves we're not good enough? How often are we making judgments about our inadequacy or the inadequacy of others? All of this stuff is operating in a lower frequency bandwidth, which is not a match to higher frequency information. And so really sitting in reflective practice with non-judgment, because we've all got rubbish, that's what we've come for. We've all got different things happening and different things that we are here to evolve through, that our soul really wanted to evolve through. And so, if it's felt that there's disconnection, which we all do because we're entrained since children. The minute we go to school, we are entrained to use our thinking and over analytical mind. And if we don't, we're told we're dumb. We're entrained for at least 10 to 12 years of our lives solidly about using our thinking, logical, analytical mind. And if we've been over educated, it can be even more difficult. It can be even more difficult to completely learn a whole new way of using your intelligence. I didn't say knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge are different. Wisdom comes from here. Wisdom comes from through the insight into the greater reality. Knowledge comes from what have we learned? What have we been able to calculate and systematize? Not that that's ineffective, but it's just limited. It's limited in comparison to what's available for us. When I come to do these transmissions, the less I think about it before, the more smooth it goes. Because as soon as I'm thinking about it before, I'm in a different part of the mind. And so when I sit down, I just trust. I trust the flow of information through my higher self wisdom and through the higher realms. When there are particular topics that I haven't known an answer to previously, I trust and I continue to allow the channel to flow. And then I learn from what I say or what comes through me. This is what is possible to access with practice. I was not always like this. I was trained as an academic. I was trained to overthink, and I would receive information because that's part of my coding, to receive information, but I would always negate it. I would always, what if it's not right? What if, how could I possibly know that? I can't say that to somebody. They'll think I'm mad. They'll want to know where I knew it from. And if I don't know, they'll fear, 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 fear. And so that's another major barrier. Another major barrier is fear of what if we're not right? But then what if we are? And so there's a lot of layers to that question. It's not as simple as flicking on a switch, because the switch is actually already on. It's allowing ourselves to navigate the things that are in the way. And so disbelief in the self, disbelief that it's even real, disbelief that it's possible, disbelief in spirit, disbelief in our higher selves is a major first barrier. And then the second one that I just brought up is frequency. If we're keeping ourselves trapped in old stories of lower frequency information, repeating those same patterns, we're not a match. It's like tuning the radio on the wrong station. We're not a match to that level of information. And so working with the heart is really good for frequency raising, as is having fun. You know, how often have you been in the moment doing something that you really love and you receive inspiration? Or when you're relaxing, that's another thing, relaxing. Relaxing opens our frequency field, creates expansion, which raises vibration. So relaxing, doing fun things, minding our minds. Where is our frequency at? Are we getting stuck in the story? Or are we allowing ourselves to step back from it, expand, and access solutions, create solutions? How can we change perception? How can we change perspective? How can we change situations if it's needed to be changed to stop the repeating cycles? Other ways we can raise frequency is to allow ourselves to sit in the shadows, to sit in our reactions, to sit in our unhealedness with love and grace and appreciation for why the unhealedness has arrived. It's arrived to show us, they gift us. Our shadows are gifts. When people treat us unjustly, or what feels to be unjust, they're playing their role perfectly. And I love that. A wise woman said that to me once, and it really stuck with me. They're playing their role perfectly. They're playing their role perfectly to help move us even further into our evolution. How can we create change to not have a situation like that happen again? Or if it does happen again, how do we act differently? How do we respond differently? How do we evolve? And this is the whole purpose of being here. And so any moment that we're feeling like we're not able to access anything that we desire, it's coming to that inquiry about what's deeper than that. Do I have a resistance to failing? Am I sabotaging myself because I don't want to fail? Am I keeping myself small because I'm scared of success? Am I scared of standing out? Am I, scared of whatever it is? But it's always fear and love are the opposite ends of the spectrum. Where there is absolute love, there is no fear. And then any movement away from love becomes more and more and more fearful. And so the most powerful thing that we can do is to entrain ourselves back to love. Because love already is all. Love is all there is at its pure essence. And this is the frequency field, the quantum field, whichever way you want to term it, where the information resides, is residing in a different frequency bandwidth to the old world. And so the more we allow ourselves to work through all those different layers to clear the things that are keeping us stuck here, entrain ourselves to stabilize this higher state of being, we become more of what we already are. We become the new humans, or we become the fully online humanity that's coming. It's actually really exciting. It's really exciting times that, the more of us that do this work, we're not just doing it for ourselves. You might have heard me speak to this before, but because we are collective, those of us who can are doing this level of work for everybody. We're changing the frequency field. Even having conversations at this level, we're plugged into this higher frequency matrix. And now this is what I love so much about being blessed to do this work, to have the courage to do this work. It took me a long time. It took me a long time to walk through all those layers of fear and self-worth issues and can't and all the things, all the stories. Like, I've been there, I understand it. But then I also understand that with a little bit of courage, and a bit more courage, and a bit more courage, a bit this way and this way and this way. This is life, right? And as long as we're progressing little bit by little bit forward, a few steps back to stabilize, that's why it happens. Every time we take a step back, it helps to affirm our steps forward, our next step forward even more. If we just went, we missed the journey. And it's that journey where all the magic happens. It just reminds me of, one time a client had on her heart about why is there darkness? And the guide shared that without the darkness, how could we walk back home to light? And that's actually why it was there, to help us to know the opposite of the darkness. And just breathing into that. I know it can be really hard to wrap your head around, but, I love so much that there is only love. Even the things that are seemingly really painful are walking us back to love if we allow ourselves. And if you're listening to this transmission, I know you're on the path too, like you get this. And it's just beautiful to have that affirm what you already know, because it's information that exists in the quantum field. It's information that exists in the greater reality, which is why it feels like truth. Because you know it, because you're a part of it. You are it as well. And it's just moving through the resistances that keep us separate to knowing that, believing that, and acting on that creates the change. And what I've found is the more that I step into this work, the more I allow it to be, the more I walk through the fear. I walk through fear all the time, like that doesn't go away. But what grows more is my faith, because each time I walk through the fear, more and more becomes available. And the same will be for you. The same will be for you. And so just recognizing when you're meeting resistance and know that it's there to solidify your next steps forward. That's why it's there. It can feel like it's there being annoying and it's holding us back, which is this perception of it. This perception of our resistance is like, yes, when there's resistance, it means there's growth at the other side. That's the greater reality. There's growth at the other side of all the stagnation points, of all the seemingly problematic bits and pieces that, happen all the time as well. So hopefully that was helpful. That was in a nutshell.